Hey there, Carlos here with another video on numerology. This time it is about the number 2 in Taurus. I am a firm believer in hope and gratitude. Hopefully my moon and Leo exuberance grants you perseverance to continue reading and, more importantly, writing your novel. Otherwise, please accept my apologies. Thank you once again for watching these videos, especially if you've subscribed to them or upvoted them. And now, here's a video on Taurus, which is written through the lens of numerology. If I did a good job of explaining earlier the soul urge, then this reminder is not necessary. However, even if I was effective, a recap is still useful. And this reminder has two goals, you and me. Even though I've been studying numerology for years now, I have yet to apply this knowledge to anything other than writing. So it's based on other people's research, and given this, I still consider myself a novice. I hope by writing the book that I mentioned in previous videos, which is Gemini's Numerology, as well as recording this video, to crystallize what we believe to be true, and hopefully to entice you to seek my services. When I finally apply this wisdom, then I will go from a mere Padawan to a Jedi Master. In regard to SU, I consider to be a hidden goal. Granted, thanks to Sun in Pisces, it is not totally hidden to me, and by extension to you either. Plus, if you're using this book to create your characters, then it must not be hidden to you either. Given all this, numerology is a great tool when you arrive on the emotional, spiritual, or their intersection. It offers abstractions that guide you and myself as we feel the presence of the character we wish to create. In regards to 2, harmony exists first in our heart, and only then does it penetrate our mind. Feel free to guess what my MBTI indicator is in the comments. If this video does its job well, then you imagine how your character seeks harmony as you tell their story. You feel the rush of air through their hair, the grass beneath their feet, and the gaze of their lover, and everything else he or she experiences. For now, let us pretend your character is a she, for simplicity's sake. Otherwise, may this rigidity still serve you as you imagine him or even it. If your character's SU is 2, then they desire harmony. They are granted this desire when others treat them as equals. When they engage in group projects and when they commune with the great outdoors, plus they desire natural things over artificial. Taurus is the first example for this soul's urge. She has 3 vowels in her name, A, U, and U. They have a total of 7. 7, unlike 2, resides on the physical plane. He symbolizes the spiritual seeker. Thanks to his proactive nature, he is a doer rather than one who sits idly by contemplating things. This down-to-earth nature, pun intended, resonates heavily with Taurus as well. Granted, Taurus may come across as stubborn and lazy, but according to mythology, she is well known for rescuing 2 children, one of whom is Europa. After rescuing her, she fell off of Taurus's back. This created Europe, the continent. Given this myth, it is important to note seeking is just as much a proactive activity as it is a mental one. Yet in the case of 7 and Taurus, the proactive part is greater than many would have us believe. The same is true if you write a character based on this SU. And the only reason why Taurus is mentioned here is she is the second sign in astrology. And yet her soul's urge clearly differs from the number 2. And now for the SU2. If your character has 2 for his or her SU, which for the record, the spirit of 2 feels quite feminine to me, and therefore to be concise, she refers to 2. She is strong through inner reserves. And those inner reserves are granted to her by her environment and her connection to that environment. She longs for harmony, long walks in the park, or even better, in the great outdoors. For those to put effort into harmonizing with her, the rush of intuitive epiphanies and the clarity all this brings. Just like Taurus, she longs for the green pastures of tranquility as she contemplates all this. I include the mastery number of 11-2 in this category. And this category actually refers to the full name. Because of my desire to pay homage to programming roots, one of the assets of this education is taking a large concept and breaking it into parts. Therefore, even 11-2 resonates with the 2. It just has additional parts. She has numerous strengths. And these strengths loan themselves well to her job. As I hope to have made clear, I have a love of reiterating simple and basic concepts. I figure practice makes perfect, and that includes practicing listening. One of them is the power of 3. In the case of two strengths, this includes intuition, desire to commune with natural beings, and harmony. For examples of this, take a look at the transformation in the occupational sections. But in order to see the transformations, one will need to buy Gemini's Numerology. But furthermore, just as one is a gateway between one's body and the physical world, two is a gateway between intuition and the spiritual world. Her weaknesses prevent her from feeling that harmony. So the first one is entitled harmony. The easiest one to acknowledge has to do with my Pisces nature. One of the toughest challenges for us and her to face is the more we do, the more others treat us like a doormat. The same is potentially true for two. She is rigid when it comes to equality. She burns out when her effort is not visibly reciprocated. And even though she does her best to lead by example, all too often in today's world, it's so easy to take others' behavior for granted rather than to reciprocate it. So, I'm sure you have a lot of examples in regards to how society does this with you. And that makes your character even more three-dimensional. The second one is avarice crutch. Avarice is a fancy word for wanting too many material goods. Oddly enough, given her desire to live in harmony, she may give way to avarice. This is similar to Taurus. Taurus's greatest strength is her inner reserves. When benign, she hears objects sing out to her. Unfortunately for her and her followers, this can lead to her thinking having everything means she hears all their voices. This level of greed is born of confusion. And the last of the weaknesses is doubtful. It is so easy in today's world to doubt one's own intuition. This is a problem for two as well. Her intuition grants her strength. Surprise, surprise, when she ignores it, this weakens her. And now for the potential occupations. These apply to both full name twos and the rest, yet the slightly higher priority ought to go to the full name number. Going back to the example of Carlos, you may realize his SU is 7, OE is 7, and FN is 5. He does have a tendency to be bombastic, like a 5. Yet the 2 7s means he does search for spiritual truths with flares for bombasted bombasticity. The same wisdom is applicable when your character has a double dose of 2 in the supposedly lesser areas. Given the above FN, 2 loves jobs where she is granted harmony with her peers and her environment. She excels in group projects. Plus, she does well as a forest ranger, a scout, politician, and occasionally lawyer. Makes sense. Plus, she can excel in artistic, musical, confectionery endeavors as well. Perhaps especially confectionery and musical, because those are group efforts where interaction is required. If your character's OE is 2, then her house ought to be either on the outskirts of town or near a park. This way she can commune with nature as she feels the need to recharge her emotional batteries. Plus, she ought to place a high priority on teamwork. Her intuition ought to be somewhat above average too. Names that fall into this category are Cancer, Virgo, and Scorpio. This concludes the second video, or rather third video. Thank you for watching. And what about it did you enjoy? Or what are your questions in regards to 2 harmonizing with Mother Nature?